at Dudko, 299 Middle Street, Bristol, Connecticut. Oh, sorry, I'm wrong on that. 116 Lewis Road. Now, I've had experts, you know my background. Oh, we need more industrial space in Bristol. Studies show this. 10 years later, nothing there. And, you know, you can hire a consultant. Look, I've been on these dog and pony shows for many years because, you know, my background. Look, I could be self-deprecating. I could play myself as a bozo. I don't think I was on a dean's list as many times as it was at Margate University. I don't think I became a correspondent for Westwood One Radio covering Connecticut and Western Massachusetts, or selling stuff to AP and ABC Radio. Look, I see what's going on. If you pay a consultant, and I'm going to pay him $20,000, $30,000, you know what he's going to do? He's going to agree with you. That's what always happens. I think you hit the nail on the head, Mr. Bayer, when you asked Mr. Monty, what has changed? Oh, I know what's changed. You're asking us to pay for it. I called up a reporter today from Nashua, New Hampshire. What's the mood up in Nashua, New Hampshire? Because they've got 3 deals going on, I guess. Glen Clove, New York, Bristol, Nashua, New Hampshire. What's in common with all of them? Nothing's happened. Nothing. They're looking for a low-income housing in Nashua, New Hampshire. Are you going to do that here? I'm totally against this project. I think the city of Bristol really should put this on the ballot for everybody to decide, because personally, I'm sick of the in-click here. I really am. I saw what happened to my family. And I wish you would really put it on the ballot. I wouldn't mind leaving it as nothing. I would rather have somebody come in with their own money and do it yourself. But somebody else says, yeah, just sell it. See what anybody else could do it. I'm not for this. I'm not for what I envision downtown if this goes through is a slum. That's what I see. And I've seen a lot. I'm sorry, but that's what I see. And if you don't agree with me, let's put it on the ballot. Let's let everybody decide. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Tom Doyle and Rochelle Levins, you're on deck.
Good evening, everyone. Tom Doyle, 128 High. Bristol has a lot of old, rundown apartment houses in this town. We all know that. And they're causing us lots of problems. I can give you one example that I've talked about before. Next door to me, there's an old Victorian house. It's run down. You know, the building is neglected. There's junk in the yard. Since I moved in, we had a murder there in 2011. In 2012, the police and the DEA came in one morning and busted up a drug factory with some stolen guns. Earlier this year, someone was convicted of selling heroin and is still living there. And recently, another tenant was arrested on a charge of threatening. So, I've counted 5 felony convictions for crimes committed there on that property in the last 3 years. It's an out-of-town landlord. I see the advertisements in the paper, online. No credit checks, no criminal checks. So that's what happens in my neighborhood. It's killing my neighborhood. And this just isn't unique to me. I go to plenty of the code enforcement meetings, and most of the properties they're looking at are out-of-town landlords who own these old buildings. And I look at the police logs, too. It looks to me like the bulk of the arrests for people who live in Bristol are people who live at some of these same old rundown apartment houses. It's, you know, a big problem. It's like they just keep popping up. It's like, you know, the code enforcement is chasing after them, the police are chasing after them. This is a huge waste of resources. So, I mean, how about a new building? We actually have a new building that opened up. There's one that opened up right near the library that opened up in May. There was actually a ribbon cutting ceremony for it. And I remember seeing the picture in the paper. Unfortunately, I don't think that they're being a very good landlord either. The property looks pretty neglected. As far as I can tell, they only mowed the lawn once this whole year. There's weeds everywhere. They've got cement blocks all over the property. There's junk in the yard. Today there's a mattress and a box spring in the parking lot. And I don't think this landlord does criminal checks either, because we've had that address pop up in the police logs 3 times so far. One of the tenants actually had a warrant out for his arrest since last year. So, you want to build a new apartment house? Well, great. You know, I'd love to have new housing in town, but we need something in writing that the property will be maintained and that you'll actually have someone checking through tenant applications. Get this in writing. Does anyone remember the Terry homestead? The developer swore to us that he would save one of the oldest buildings in town. He turned around and tore it down because we didn't have it in writing. Get it in writing. Thank you.
Thank you. Rochelle? And Dave Thomas, you're on deck.
Good evening, Rochelle Levins, 88 Old Turnpike Road. First of all, I would like to ask Mr. Monti, how many businesses have committed to the retail that you plan on building for us?
The retail in the Building A or Building B?
Any?
There's been no commitments to
No
retail
commitments.
today.
The Piazza, has anybody signed to run that beautiful restaurant on the Piazza?
No one's going to sign up to run a restaurant on the Piazza at this early stage.
And nobody showed any interest?
We actually have 22,000 letters of interest, 22,000 square meters.
Okay. That takes me to letters of intent. What value are they? What value does a letter of intent has? They can all just say, oh,
Could you tell me
change
what
my mind?
Tell me what your point is?
Well, my point is, I'm asking these questions. These are legitimate questions.
Yeah, but
They need to be answered.
These are all questions that we will have answered before a shovel goes into the ground, obviously.
Oh, no. We need those answers before you continue. I mean, we need answers. That's what we've been looking for,
But
okay?
a BDC member asked when we would get leasing commitments, and I explained that
Right.
before financing is
Right.
finalized, you have to have a
Right.
commitment for sure.
Okay, can you explain the ratio of residential, retail, and commercial that you've committed to for these buildings? Why do you have the ratio that you have with so little retail and so many apartments?
Basically, you need rooftops to support retail.
But there's no retail for them to support.
Well, there's current retail right now that craves people living in downtown.
So what you're telling me is we need tenements downtown.
Well, if you think that's what we're going to build, but that's not what we're
You went from 700 at your first meeting at Eastern High School to 1,300. You asked what happened, and I like the mayor's answer because that certainly happened, but also 1,300 apartments happened. 1,300 apartments. What commitment,
That's not
what,
accurate.
that's what I'm reading.
No,
But
that's not
anyways, accurate or not, what is your commitment? What is your, because we get different answers from you all the time. Now,
Everything is published in public.
what commitment will you have for how many years? Or can you just walk away and sell those apartments and then they become Section 8 or
I'm
something
going to
else?
ask you to keep quiet because nobody spoke when you were up there, so have some respect for the speakers, please, because you're shouting out. Have some respect for the speakers. I'm sorry, continue, and I'll give you an extra time.
Thank you. So could you explain that, please?
Well, I believe that these comments that you're making, if this is meant to be a dialogue, then allow me to get up and we'll have a 3-minute time for each of us to speak. I'd be happy to do that.
That's up to the mayor. I don't think we have the time. But 1,300 apartments, from everything I've read, is what has happened. And one last question for you, Mr. Monti. As this lady so eloquently said, is it true that all public money is really off the table?
What's true is that I am willing to work with the city, and if we need to take public money off the table to move this project forward, it is open for discussion. I would be happy to have that discussion with the mayor tomorrow morning.
If is a really big little word.
I said
If.
I'd be happy to have that
Yeah.
conversation with
The
the mayor
style,
tomorrow
the
morning.
design and the style, I brought that up to you of that building. It looks like a big hotel that's going to look really, really bad in a short amount of time. Why can't we have a building design that's at least attractive? Something that looks like people are living in it, not a big factory building. I know it looks good.
I would be happy to also have a discussion with the mayor and anyone in the city regarding any potential changes to the architectural.
I'd like to be included in that, please.
That's up to the mayor.
I really think that that's a terrible-looking building, and as I've said many times at other meetings, that it's going to look horrible opposite our historic buildings. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Dave Talbot and Elizabeth Raddy.